Hello, I'm Mark Humphries and I directed Incursion.
Hello, I'm Steve Green and I directed Incursion.
I directed Incursion.
No, I directed Incursion.
We directed Incursion. So the first one, The Other Side, was a collaborative effort with you and Chris, wasn't it?
From both a directing and a writing point of view, the script, after a production meeting, I was tasked with writing a script, and there was this god-awful plot line that had been thought up by about 12 people, and so, as the old saying goes, a camel is a horse designed by committee, and it was completely unworkable as a plot. And I started thinking about a different plot, about a sort of ghost story. And I phoned Chris and said, look, Chris, I can't write the script that everyone's come up with. I've got another idea. And he went very quiet on the end of the phone and said, I've got a very similar idea. And I went, well, I'll send you what I've written if you send me what you've written. And we literally exchanged emails, and the basic plots were very, very similar.
Was it always meant to be a co-direction?
The directing, it was meant to be Chris directing, but it was Chris's first time directing, and as I said on the making of tapes for The Other Side, I did tend to bully Chris and say, no, we're going to do this now, and poor Chris was standing in the background looking very sheepish going, so I have apologised profusely over the years for that. Right, so what we're going to have is, do we need Lawrence moving out shot from the middle? Lawrence! That way, because we've got complete continuity about where everything is. Right, so what we're going to do is, we'll say action, Lawrence, drop your hand up, drop your hand down, and walk forward. To over there. Children
behind the camera.
Past Chris. Children will then turn and walk back as if you're like you go through the face to the wall. Literally, you'll get to the wall, each one of you, and then just quickly go that way. And just everyone stand as still as you can, but there'll be a split put down, slip aside. Okay?
So then I suppose we might as well jump ahead to Incursion. When it was, if I remember correctly, it was always decided that it was going to be yours, your project, your director.
Yes,
the director,
yes. I said
there was never any talk of a collaboration in the beginning. So
well, I think you always said that you wanted to do director of photography.
Yeah, well, I think because it was mainly because of The Other Side. Because I was trouble with The Other Side is when it came to the main effect shots, I was in them.
Yes.
And so I had to try and give direction to people from cameras about doing this and that, not being able to leave my mark.
Yeah.
And so when it came to this one, I said, okay, you can direct the talky bits, the main plot drives.
Yeah.
And when it comes to special effects, if you just like me take over or just
Yeah.
double check anyway.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be doing as much as I originally did yet. I don't think I was.
No, I think it's because I had to slip away on two different occasions to do dog walking duties because I was looking after a friend's dog, and on 2 days at lunchtime I had to go. I've got to go for an hour, and that's when you took over a couple of scenes, and I quite like what you did.
Yeah, despite the fact I balls it up, so it wasn't actually what we were meant to be filming.
No,
but
hey,
it worked. It worked.
It filled in some time because we were seriously underrunning it.
Yeah, oh god, were we?
So how do you feel about today then, Mark?
Fun.
How do you feel about today?
Until I get on my computer and I start playing with it, I'm shitting myself. I really am. Like, I've never had a success. If I've been practicing a green screen, I've never had success with it. I've always had, because I've never been able to light it properly, so I've always had the shadows. I suppose really where I come in is the editing and the special effects. With The Other Side, I pretty much saved the project, I like to say. If you saw the rushes, my god, there were times when I just thought this ain't gonna work. With The Other Side, I literally had moments of confidence where I thought this will be our lost fan film. This will be I'll deliver the edit and they'll go no.
There are an awful lot of bad fan films out there, and that is not a bad fan film.
No.
If you only need to look on YouTube to see some of the things that people are doing in their lounges to sort of with 2 milk crates trying to be a TARDIS console.
Yeah.
And you think,
There's nothing wrong with that. You do what you can do. You can do what you can do, but there's doing what you can do and then having an attitude that what you've made is holier than how, or whatever
Yes.
the phrase is,
But-
when it's a milk crate.
yeah, there are things that you should do to show the grandparents,
Mm.
and there are things that you should do to be able to put on YouTube.
Not again.
Yeah, because that would make it better. But unlike the other side, where it was basically try and make the scene work, I changed quite a lot to the original script.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I mean, you've got some context to do various additional bits of scenes, and suddenly we'd have, we've got this and this special effect and this CGI, and which was great. You actually did change the Hydra. The fact that they suddenly developed a voice.
Yes. I think the original cut was meant to be dialogue. It was alien at first, but as soon as Macy became not dialogue, it was meant to be computer layover screens at first.
Yeah, computer symbols that scroll across the screen.
Yeah, and as soon as Macy gets turned, then you see the English version.
Yeah.
And basically, I couldn't get my head around that at all, and it basically imploded. So I thought, I'll do a voice, a voice that's actually from the ship.
Object identified as alien space-time craft. Object compriser would. Error. Misinformation. Information rejected.
In case you're wondering, it's not meant to be the Hydra's actually talking. It's meant to be one big hive brain.
That's right.
That they're hearing. So
Our version of the Borg.
Our version of the Borg, yes. Costumes actually almost on par. No.
Techno-tubbies say, uh-oh.
Techno-tubbies. It is the Techno-tubbies.
One of my main briefs, I wasn't really given a brief. Steve is quite happy to let me do what I want to do with the editing because he doesn't know what to do. So he says,
I can edit using an old edit suite.
yeah.
I can't edit on computer. I just can't get my head around it.
Well, I did my qualifications is a degree in media, so I had experience with unlinear, I think it's called, unlinear editing suites,
Right.
in digital editing suites before we actually joined the production. So I had that was always my background when I was coming to. I would be the editor.
Fair
in
enough.
effect,
And
we
you do
started.
it very well.
Yes.
You can carry on doing it very well. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I'll fix it in post. Yes.
Yes, the old adage. Mark will fix that in post.
Hello, Mark. I'm talking to you from beyond the camera. I can see you. Yes, stop doing that. No, don't press buttons. No, don't fast forward this either. I told you not to fast forward this. You still fast forwarding? Are you listening to me? I'm inside your computer. I am. I've seen all the porn you've downloaded.
So I never really had a brief, apart from the one brief that I gave myself, which was make Steve happy. Whatever change I had to think, would Steve like this? Because again, with the other side, I had 2 directors to appease, and towards the end, it was do an edit, show it to Steve, show it to Chris, have both their notes, combine them into something that works, and then go show them the revised version, trying to convince them that that was your idea. But
I have to say, I was a lot more chilled on this one.
yes, it was much more laid back. We actually got through quite a lot on the days. I mean, there's how many scenes? About 120 scenes.
There is an awful lot of scenes in this film.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I want you like to try and in not just the audio but the video as well in your writing, you like to take the new series route.
Yes.
You think that's the way forward, and that's lots of scenes, lots of fast cutting.
Yes, absolutely. I really actually like the way that Doctor Who has developed. Some people don't like it, some people do. I think it for a modern audience, you cannot turn out something which is in the classic mode. It's mainly the fact that the audience attention spans have changed, the fact that you've really got to up the pace, up the action. There's nothing to say you can't have good, strong characters, and that's what I try to do. I try to write feisty females, and we've certainly cast some feisty females in our main lead roles. And it's really, as best you can, make it a good, interesting plot, but with good characters, because we don't have the budget to actually do the big Hollywood stuff that TV Doctor Who does.
Well, this one, do we like to stop half on the road?
No. Too much movement. No, make people sick.
I think the acting's going to do that.
I think the only thing you and me actually had any tension over while filming was the phone booth. The phone booth. Yeah, I think this was after I actually had my chance to be director, and then you came back, and I suddenly had this idea where I didn't want to see Eddie walking towards the phone booth.
Yeah.
I wanted to pan down. I wanted to walk along the road in a pan down shot. To go, oh look, she's walked into a phone booth.
Perfect. What is it here? I'm panicked.
I'll do the bloody editing, boy. Right. I think in this film, Steve should be dumb. But and your direction is set up, shot, and that's it. And I think we actually had a little fallout. It wasn't a fallout. It was you shoot your bit, I shoot mine.
You shoot your version, I shoot my version, and we'll see which one looks best when we've edited it.
Yeah.
And I think you actually used both scenes.
I used both scenes, making it work.
Hang on, 2 minutes. This is Ellie Parker, Code Red, Incursion.
Other side and Incursion, how do you rate them?
I think they both have their own strengths. The Other Side was written very much as a character piece to introduce the character of the Doctor and of Macy. Mainly the character of Macy, because effectively we're all familiar with the character of the Doctor, and so the Doctor actually doesn't appear until about 10 minutes into the script, because it's Macy who's the one, very much like in the sense that Russell T Davies wrote Rose, of introducing Rose before you meet the Doctor. And that's the sort of vibe I tried to go for with The Other Side. The criticism that was levelled at The Other Side by both our own team and on the internet was that it was very, very static, not just from a directing point of view, but it was very dialogue heavy. And whereas that worked in the enclosed space that we were supposed to be trapped within, I went completely the opposite direction with Incursion, and actually made it virtually all location, lots of running around, lots of sort of gunfights and sort of action sequences. So that's why there isn't a huge amount of dialogue, or there is a significantly reduced amount of dialogue in the story.
The Vaginal Monologues too, this time they snap back.
Christopher!
It's serious, have you?
Do you think Eros Lynn gets this shit?
So generally happy with everything that's gone on.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm raring to go for the next one, and I think the next one is written, assuming that we actually do the one that we've been talking about.
Could there be trip to other areas of the county?
Well, if we do A Lystrigony, which is written by Lawrence Duncalf.
Hello.
Hello. I am a superhero.
Yeah.
I am the bureaucrat. Or a super villain, really.
We will be visiting London. Ooh. We're going to be filming on the Embankment and in Greenwich. If we get to do it, there's still some questions to be asked and answered about it, some casting issues, but we shall see what happens in the future. But there will be some audios.
So stay tuned. So including Mr. Green, pleasure working with you.
Pleasure working with you. Who's directing the next one?
Oh,
Who's directing the next one?